This is part 8 of our trip down the documentation rabbit hole. Let's start talking about Godot Best Practices in this mini-series. The documentation for this lesson is linked below in the description. If you enjoy software educational content like this, we would appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. It means a lot to us. In this video, we are going to talk about how object-oriented principles apply to objects in Godot. You are afforded a lot of flexibility in how you structure your code and scenes, but everything has a pro and con, so you have to choose what works best for you when applicable. We can't look at every way to do the correct thing, but we can look at some real problems. One thing you should do, somewhat by necessity, is apply object-oriented principles to your programming logic. Here's a refresher for those who might not know what that means in Python and VS-Codium. This is a pretty common example, but please bear with me for a moment. I would do this in GDS script, but that's outside the scope of this video as there is a little setup to do that, so we are going to quickly run through an example in Python. If we make a class and call it animal, and let's for the sake of simplicity, define some member Boolean variables such as eats, breathes, poops, and a method called reproduce, and just pretend there are some conditions in there for this to happen. Then after this, let's define another class and call it mammal. For something to be a mammal, generally the species has fur of some sort, are warm-blooded, and produce milk. Let's define those properties. In addition to this, the mammal also inherits all the properties of the animal class, so we would have to inherit this. This is because a mammal is an animal. We can call any property or method from the animal class. Does this make sense? If it doesn't, please comment, and hopefully we can explain it better. We will have a dedicated video on object orientation soon. Don't worry, this is a very high-level example, so we aren't really scratching the surface. In the Godot engine, it offers two main ways to create reusable objects, scripts and scenes. Neither of these technically define classes under the hood, so inheritance wouldn't be exactly the same as the Python example. Still, many best practices using Godot involve applying object-oriented programming principles to the scripts and scenes that compose your game. That is why it's useful to understand how we can think of them as classes. The engine provides built-in classes like node. You can extend those to create derived types using a script. That's what this extends keyword here really does. Your script is basically a node 2D in this case. There are more technical aspects you can read in the documentation. It goes on to talk about registering class data with class DB, which gives you access to information about properties, methods, constants, and signals. Please read the docs for more information on how that works. Scenes also similar to classes despite not actually being a class. They are reusable, instantiable, and inheritable groups of nodes. We often pair a scene with a scripted root node that makes use of the scene's nodes. As such, the script extends the scene by adding behavior through imperative code, like when we might create a game manager. The content of a scene helps to define what nodes are available to the script, how they are organized, how they are initialized, what signal connections they have with each other. Why is any of this important to scene organization? Because instances of scenes are objects. As a result, many object-oriented principles that apply to written code also apply to scenes. Single responsibility, encapsulation, and others. The scene is always an extension of the script attached to its root node, so you can interpret it as part of a class. Most of the techniques explained in the Best Practices series build on this point. And that will do it for this video. If you enjoyed this content, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And thanks for making it all the way through the video. Please join us in the next one. See you next time.